Mr. Bob Pisani stated on the 14th of April, if you do not think things are getting better, you are not paying attention. Mr. Pisani is a host on CNBC, and apparently things are getting better. If you don't see it when you are not paying attention, he was referring to how data is getting better. So I guess if you listen to how home sales are doing this, how we have a reduction in unemployment. We've seen the rate go from 10.2 down to 9.7%. And of course, there are many other different indicators like consumer confidence, and the list would go on and on. He was even mentioning how the earnings and all that sort of stuff is showing better signs within the economy. I guess banks are making more money with their mark to market accounting, and well, the principles and strategies that they are using to make money from us, the people, is showing signs of a recovery. Not only is it the banks, but all of these other companies. Sort of like when I say the rich are getting richer and the poor are getting poorer, and that being a problem, well, if that's the case, then how can earnings for big companies increasing be good for the everyday Main Street people? I am not too sure. They'll say on CNBC, well, the street is saying this, and well, I've never went down to the street and said, "Hey, buddy, what do you expect with Alcoa's earnings coming out? Do you think they're going to do better than expected? And what do you expect?" After all, when you hear on CNBC, they will say the street is expecting this, and well, I have never been stopped by somebody on the street who says, "Hey, buddy, guess what? Coca-Cola's estimates I don't know. I'm only thinking they're going to make about 11 cents a share." No, I've never heard that. But maybe I've been on the wrong streets my life. I don't know. But if you think things are not getting better, then I guess you are not paying attention. And well, my reply to this statement is if you cannot see how the economy is in trouble with our current monetary policy, then, well, you are not paying attention. And that is monetary policy for how money is created, distributed, and how culture works within the money system. So if you can't see it, I believe you are not paying attention. So I wanted to see if I could find reasons for Mr. Pisani to be correct. And when Mr. Bernanke was speaking on front of Congress today, and well, he said Federal Reserve Chairman Ben Bernanke told Congress Wednesday that he has confidence the unfolding economic recovery will have staying power, although it won't be strong enough to bring quick relief to high unemployment. This is the same thing that was stated a year ago when Bernanke would say that a recovery is coming and, well, don't expect unemployment to do anything. You know, it's going to stay around 10%, 9%. And I guess that's the same sort of deal. And then Mr. Bernanke, testifying before Congress Joint Economic Committee, also once again called on lawmakers and the White House to come up with a plan to whittle down record high budget deficits. Even though sizable deficits right now are unavoidable, given the damage wrought by the recession, the persistence of the red ink raises risk to the country's long term economic health. So here we have somebody stating that, well, things are going to get better, but I don't know, things are going to get worse. Must be very easy to make your predictions true because then one of them should be correct, I guess. And, well, the whole problem on the deficits being unavoidable, well, I've talked about that on several occasions based on how interest works. And interest is a big problem, and until people can stop borrowing money they do not have, things are not going to get better. So, well, let's see if I can continue looking to see if things are getting better. And well, home loan demand slumps to its lowest level in 3 months. So maybe this is showing signs things are getting better. U.S. mortgage applications fell for a second straight week with a slump in demand for government loans, driving activity to its lowest level in 3 months. Data from an industry group showed on Wednesday. Demand for home loan refinancing and purchase loans, a tentative early indicator of home sales, both slid, indicative of a housing market that remains highly vulnerable to setbacks just weeks away from the expiration of federal home buyer tax credits. Okay, so the housing market is highly vulnerable, I guess. Let's move on. The Mortgage Bankers Association said its seasonally adjusted index of mortgage applications, which includes both purchase and refinance loans for the week ending April 9th, decreased 9.6%, Yada yada yada. Let's see if I can find some interesting stuff. You can read this article on the more information box if you want to see the rest of it. The federal government's 8,000 first-time home buyer tax credit and $6,500 credit for homeowners. Well, that's expiring soon, like by the end of the month. And apparently, we are bouncing around a housing market bottom right now. And we will probably see a very slow recovery. Wow, we are having a bottom in the housing, even though the same article said that things remain highly vulnerable. Wow, I did not know that. Moving on. What else can we find on here? Well, apparently interest rates were above the year ago level of 4.7%. An all time low of 4.61% was set in the week ending March 27th of last year. 4.7%. So while these people are getting a number that looks something like this percent, we are getting this percent. So what that means is, say on $10,000 and you pay 4.7%, that works out to, well, that works out to 470. 470. Therefore, a half a percent would be about 47, and well, for your $470 in interest payments, they are getting 25. Sort of like how restaurants make money. They buy their soft drinks that cost them 5 cents to fill the glass, but they charge it to you for $1. That seems very similar. And of course, the interest, well, that creates money that doesn't exist, which thus goes to debt. We can take a look at our national debt, which is extremely high. We can look at the individual macro debt of all people, and well, that's extremely high. So when I go to my original statement, if you cannot see how the economy is in trouble with their current monetary policy, well then, you, my friend, are not paying attention. Have yourself a magnificent day.